Hey, what's going on, guys? Brandon here with Texas Plinking. Really excited for this video. Quite a few really cool components that come together here. And so all of it's going to be exciting in its own right, but mostly I'm going to be talking about what's on top here. I made a lot of videos over the last year and a half on thermals because they're becoming a lot more accessible. I've been saying that for a while. Something that was like around 4 to 5 grand would have been considered budget thermal not even like 3, 4, or 5 years ago. And in the last year and a half, it's become far more accessible than that. And that's why I'm kind of cranking out that kind of content, especially now, this time of year. Making this video in September, and so as we get into October, November, we're kind of getting in season for a lot of people getting into hunting, predator control, coyotes, hogs, all that kind of stuff. So trying to get ahead of the curve here and talk about some really cool thermal options. One of them in this video is actually very, very new, and it's certainly worth getting in front of the eyes of a lot of people out there because of the price on this one. All the abilities it has, everything, without being around the bush anymore. This is another DNT, or Day-Night Technologies Hydra, and it's a new model. They had 3 SKUs ever since they introduced them. This is now the 4th. It's an HS219. Now, this is the first video you've seen of mine or of mine with thermals, and you don't know anything about DNT and the Hydra line. Just to get you guys caught up real quickly, it's the 3-in-1 because the size itself could easily just be a monocular for scanning. They do have reticles, a few reticles to choose from, and so of course it is a thermal scope, as you see in this application. It could actually just be a clip-on as well, turning your day optic into thermal as well without changing your day 0 or moving optics around. So that's a 3-in-1, scope, clip-on, and monocular. So that's all of the Hydras, this one included. So of course the thing that changed with the 219 is some specs. The 219 is the same resolution as the 225, so it's 256 by 192. The difference is in the objective lens size, but to go through the rest of them, the HS325 is 384, and the highest end of the Hydras is the HS635, and that is 640p. That happens to be this one here. I feature this one quite a bit as well. Obviously, as resolution ramps up, so does the price, but man, even then, none of them are egregiously expensive. Thermal can easily get to $5,000, $10,000. The most expensive as it gets, the Hydra with the 640 resolution, is just a tick under $2,000 when using code Texas Plinking at checkout. That's not what this video is about though, because we're really on the economic side of things, and that is with the 219. Same resolution as the 225, so why a different model in the lineup? And that is all down to this right here. The objective lens size is smaller on the 219. Immediately you might think that's a con, and it is possibly depending on your purpose. And what I'll say with that, just to make it real brief, is the larger the objective lens, it's easier to have a higher base magnification without it getting like too pixelated. So the 225 has a 25mm objective lens, whereas the 219 has a 19mm objective lens. And so this one actually has less starting zoom. That's a pretty good thing in a lot of applications. First off, wider field of view, you see more at a smaller magnification. The only thing with that is the 225 starts at 3 times power, and once you crank this one up to 3 times power, you are losing some of that resolution. So that's where you just ask yourself, what's more important, field of view and that clarity of the field of view, or punching in and zooming into your target a little bit more? As far as the rest of the zoom options on here, and I'll show what that looks like through the screen recording, but it's 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 6 and 8 time magnification. And of course, it's not optically zooming in, it is digitally zooming in, and that's why you lose resolution as you punch in. And that's where the benefit of a larger objective lens will be beneficial, to where you can zoom in and not lose resolution just quite as quickly. I know this video is not about the HS635 per se, but when you pay $2,000, you kind of get the best of both worlds. 35mm objective lens and the base magnification of 1.5 times. So that's why it's my favorite, of course. But if you're on a budget, certainly these will do the job, and do the job very, very well. Yeah, it's maybe not as crispy and just super, super nice and high quality of the 640p, but if you're buying it for a purpose, you're going to totally be able to distinct a coyote and a cow. There's no issues there. As far as the color palettes, you got white hot, black hot, red hot, and iron hot. You got 8 different reticles, 2 of them being first focal plane, meaning as you zoom in, the relativity of the mils or MOA markings stay the same. Otherwise, you just have other designs, 6 other ones that you could choose from. 5 different reticle colors. Something pretty cool with the Hydras, they have a feature called super resolution. And what that does, just to keep it really, really brief, super resolution is software that kind of artificially enhances the image by just kind of getting rid of some of the noise. Obviously, pixelation just based off zooming in, all that kind of stuff will be there. But some of that higher noise that you might see, it's good at fixing that. Almost like you could do that with a picture in post. It does that real time with the video. They say it's good enough to where it's as if it amplifies the resolution by 1.5 times. And you could turn it off if you don't care for that. You can just have the true resolution. I'll be honest, experimenting with both on and off, there's no reason to turn it off. I've said that before, and same is true with the 219. It just kind of gets rid of some of that noise. Pixelation, again, like I said, will be there, but that noisiness actually fixed pretty good with super resolution. It's got onboard video and audio recording as well. Quick little note with that. Cool thing, if I'm talking about image quality on a day scope or even night vision, I can't show that to you guys because it doesn't record. In this case, you guys will be able to see that. I would say you see 95% of it. In person, it always does look that little bit better to me rather than like that screen recording. But you guys will get pretty close. You guys will see what it looks like because of the screen recording. 32 gigs of built-in memory as well. And it's got a Wi-Fi feature so you could see what the scope sees through your phone. So if you're hunting with a buddy, another thing you can do with that app is just take the pictures and video from there and just download it straight to your phone. Nice and easy. That's what I did to get the video on my phone and then put it onto my computer later. I've said this before and it's totally true. I personally am kind of elderly at heart, and so whenever something's got a lot of tech to it, sometimes it takes me a while to learn. Obviously, by this point, I'm very familiar with DNT's interface, but it never took me that long to get familiar. Pretty easy menu system to learn. And then zeroing these things is very, very easy. Reason being is you still need, decent temperature contrast for the thermal, but let's say you're going for a piece of steel and you see the color of that piece of steel pretty good just because of the temperature contrast. Shooting dead center of a freshly painted piece of steel, and if you shoot and miss the steel entirely, you usually see a hot spot off to the side. What you could do is in the zeroing menu is hold where you were holding, dead still, and then freeze frame it, like taking a screenshot, and then you just move the reticle to where that hot spot in the dirt is, unfreeze it, zero it, and you have a one-shot zero. Very, very easy. Quick note to make as well, you need to do that same process when you're going to be using it as a clip-on. Let's say this is a day scope, and you put your thermal here. You need to reference this and line it up just by moving the screen in the zeroing system to line up with your reticle. And so you'll have to do it as zero. And then once again, one shot zero, very, very easy. What's included in the box, you got yourself a Hydra, the basic mount as well, USB cable, cloth, instruction manual, 2 batteries. They're 18650 rechargeable batteries, by the way, but cool, it comes with 2 of them because it only takes 1 to power on the unit, a charger, flip up cover, and an eye cup. Price point on this particular unit, that is the big selling point on this. Everything I just told you so far is nothing new with the Hydra lineup, but the reason this one is pretty awesome is it's the cheapest by a decent margin. $770 for the base price. Using code TexasPlinking at checkout actually drops it to be a tick under $700. It's $699, but if you need to tell your wife or whoever that you didn't spend over $700, you can do that. So $699 using code TexasPlinking. And that being said, I'm already liking it, even though it's my first day out with it. And that's because it is practically like my other Hydras. I also have a 225, so the same resolution. The difference is this one has that little bit wider field of view at 2 times power, not 3. And so that's going to be my quick thing. You guys, will decide better for yourself what is the better application for what you're needing. But in short, 2 times power, that doesn't sound like a lot, but the application for these, you really won't be shooting too long range anyway. If you know you're going to be more on gun than a clip-on, and you do want more magnification and a little bit more clarity on that magnification, then the 225 and the other models will be fantastic as well. And by no means is 3 times power too cropped in either. So it just depends what specs you like for your particular purpose, but you can't go wrong with either one of them. I've got this thing set up on a pretty interesting rifle. I've actually showcased this rifle before. It's a Ruger American in 300 Blackout, but this rifle's changed up a little bit. I actually have it in a different stock. This is the Graybow Core, and it's a forged carbon fiber stock. Looks super cool if aesthetics are your thing. That's most important for many. I understand that. Very cool stock, but the big difference with it is the stock is very universal. I have a Ruger American in here. You could also plop a Remington 700 short action, long action, whatever in this because of their universal mini chassis system. So this isn't particularly made for one rifle in particular. It's made for their chassis system, but you buy your chassis system for your particular rifle. So I have it personally right now equipped for a 300 Blackout Ruger American, but this same stock will work with a Remington 700. So very, very cool stuff going on there. I'll feature it some more in future videos, but figured I'd at least talk about that. So this starts at $200. You configure it for your particular rifle, like I said, and the core itself is $799. But they too have a coupon code, and it currently saves 10%. It's also Texas Plinking. In my opinion, to get the most out of that 3-in-1 to where you could just quickly attach it, quick detach it onto a system, scope, clip on, all that kind of stuff, you need to have that quick attach, quick detach mount. For a while, American Defense mount worked pretty darn good with it, and even DNT sold those on the website. But cool thing, DNT just started offering their own, so as cohesive as it gets there. So again, it doesn't come with that. It comes with a mount just to get you guys going, and it does do the job. You can do all applications with that mount, but that's, in my opinion, how you get the most out of it. So pretty cool for DNT to start offering that. All right, so I haven't even shot with this thermal yet, so hopefully, if I do my part, I'll show you how easy it is to zero. And we're just going to do something actually pretty close here because I'll probably shoot the majority of the range here, but we'll blink around at 100 as well. I will say this, though. I would love to shoot these videos around dusk or night. The schedule didn't allow that to happen, but that being said, the quality is only going to get better at night or with, you know, some kind of temperature contrast. It's a warm day and the targets have been being beat by the sun. But even then, I still see it no problem. All right, so before we shoot though, let's go ahead and go to the menu system. I'm going to go to zeroing. And the zero, I'm ready to freeze the frame here soon. All right, that looks like it was top left. So I'm going to go ahead and freeze this. And then get my X and Y axis on. And I don't have to keep still anymore. I could get comfortable because I froze the image. That looks good. Gonna unfreeze it. And try again. As my last shot, I was holding about right here. And you guys can see the hot marker right there. So what I did is I froze the image here and then brought the reticle down and to the left. So that being said, we should be zeroed. Let's go for one of these little falling poppers. Very nice. You could do as many to confirm like I did, but if you do it right and you held steady on, you know, on like a hot pack, on cardboard or paper, it's a lot easier to get it on the money. This is a little loosey-goosey just on some steel on a hot day, but I got it zeroed. All good there. Let's go ahead and just plink around a little bit. Go for that piece of steel. Let's go ahead. I know it's right about there. Maybe we'll hold slightly higher. A little delay to get there. Hell yeah, super fun. Alrighty guys, let's do a little bit more at 100 yards. Let's do 3 rounds of supersonic, 3 rounds of subsonic. Light primer strike. Have I learned nothing? I think last time I did shoot this rifle, it had a lot of light primer strikes with this Agia, whatever. 300 blackout supersonic. Didn't do it to all of them, so let's see if we can at least just get a couple supersonics flying out here. All right, we got 2. So they get there a lot quicker. Now to the subs, let's go hold a little higher to be safe. Takes quite a bit longer to get there. See a little bit of the temperature from the suppressor on the bottom of the screen there. So if we were to zoom, here's what that would look like. There's 3 times power. Let me make sure I'm perfectly focused. Yeah, just not a great time to display that. All the way to 8 times zoom. At least I know that's the frame of the target and then the target itself. And then back down to 2. I know the shooting demonstration was pretty short there, but enough to kind of show the point. I'll also showcase, as I'm talking now, some footage that I just recorded with my buddy going down range at about 50 yards, doing a little bit of his little exercise routine, I think he was doing. A little unorthodox. But what I'm doing there, as well, just to explain it, is I'm showcasing the 219 next to the top dog of Hydras, the 635. And 635 is going to be at 1.5 times zoom, whereas the 219 will be at 2 times zoom, so you guys can see the difference in that magnification. I know it doesn't sound like much, just, you know, 1.5 to 2, but you can see it definitely opens up the, you know, field of view, and the quality difference is definitely substantially better on this right here. But clearly you guys can see in the worst conditions possible on a hot Texas day, the 219 sees very clearly, and to have it down to 2 as a minimum, not bad whatsoever. I don't necessarily need to shoot it as a clip-on mode because I've already made so many videos with the Hydra and it looks the exact same. Plus, I could screen record with it, but you guys won't necessarily see what I see. So what I'll do is I'll put it in front of this LPVO 1:8 and record it with my phone real quickly, but don't necessarily need to shoot it. But what I was getting at, though, is this is why I love a QD mount, and thankfully DNT, like I said, starts making their own here recently, because I could just quickly take this, put it on a rail section right here, push it forward, and then lock it in, and there we go. Now we're able to use our LPVO at night or any hunting applications with a thermal device, so we kind of turn it into a thermal. You still have to zero it and reference it to this. You don't zero your day optic, that's already been zeroed. You just do that on clip-on mode, clip-on zero, and then just reference it, and just you can do a one-shot zero once again. Pretty darn easy. And as far as use cases, I did kind of mention this earlier, but prism optic or LPVO, so if it's a 1.5 or 1, or in this case a 1:8 down to 1, it works good. If you're gonna wanna zoom with the optic itself, the thermal, not the day optic. Also, make sure your LPVO or prism or whatever has a illumination mode as well, so you guys can have that contrast green or red reticle on a dark screen. It's very important. This one here is a great one, Arkin EP8 1-8, and they're well under 400 bucks. Put kind of whatever text right here, definitely discount it. I think they're like 380, and then coupon code Texas Plinking can save some money. Whatever it is, I'll display that here so you guys can know what you're dealing with. But between these two here, EP8 and the 219, those two together come together for not too bad of a price, and very, very versatile for sure. 8-time power with the first focal plane, you could definitely shoot to some far distance, and then like this, shoot close up for some, predator control under thermal. Very, very cool. I know the shooting demonstration was fairly short, but I thought I'd showcase it as a dedicated scope mostly, but as a clip-on, they've been awesome. And so that is the 219, a new entry into the Hydra series, the most economic one yet, and just a tick under $700 as of right now as well. It's a pretty aggressive price point. Don't know how long it'll be like that, but as of right now, that's what it's at. So pretty cool offering to get people into this segment. I still will say it does the job very well. If you have the means to go $1,999 with that code as well, this is the end all be all for me. I sold a lot of $5,000 thermal because this did everything so well, but this will certainly do more than just get your feet wet. But that does it. A look into the HS219. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time.